How you doing, y'all? Welcome to Confidence. On today's episode, I'm in a very strange mood today, and not in a bad one. I'm in a good mood. I'm in a great mood, but I have a feeling like I'm just like in like a feisty mood, like a feisty 10. That's what I am right now. You know what I'm saying? A little salt, little pepper. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm at right now. I don't know if I'm salty, but maybe there's one little thing that's been pissing me off lately. Pissing me off. You know what it is? The fucking false hype, validation, I think the word is pandering that happens like on fucking social media, especially TikTok. Honestly, I cannot stand fucking scrolling on that app for this one reason. If you scroll on TikTok, and my shit is all dating shit, but the problem that I fucking see is it's all the same fucking narrative over and over and over and over and over. And you know what this fucking narrative is? Oh my God, babe, you're a 10 and he cheated on you with a girl that was lower than you. He only broke up with you because you were better than him. What? Yo, if I had a nickel for it's one in every 5 TikToks I see about how you were the shit and you were perfect and he just took advantage and men are stupid and men just cheat and men are garbage. That is literally my entire feed all day fucking long. I hope I don't give you that impression when I come up here and talk to you about shit. I hope I'm very balanced in the way that I look at both genders. First off, it's 50-50. Like I said, it's 50-50 in all relationships. And here's what's crazy. Is a lot of those people that are hyping you up, calling you a 10, calling you perfect, all this, all that. Listen, I'm going to keep it real with you, sweetheart. You got fucking shitty ass boundaries. You want to know why he doesn't like you? Because you don't fucking respect yourself. No, not because you're a fucking perfect 10 angel. Sorry, sweetheart. That's not what it is. What it is you need to fucking uphold your fucking standards and boundaries even harder. And you giving and giving and giving to somebody that, yeah, maybe isn't showing up for you. Again, you guys are equal to each other. You're not a fucking perfect 10. Sorry. You know what I'm saying? Think about that. If every single girl was going through this, how is there any 5s? If you're all 10s and perfect and amazing, and the guys that are leaving you are all trash, where are they going to? Who are they talking to then? Because it seems like it's every single girl on this planet. It's mind-blowing to me. And here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that men are perfect, right? It's not what it is. I'm just telling you, y'all are not perfect either, right? Men or women. And here's the thing, sitting on there and blaming the other gender or sitting there trying to make yourself feel better by attacking that person or putting that person down. Honestly, you know what's crazy? Something happened this week. One of my coachees, I do texting with my coachees, right? So a couple of the people that I have, they have a texting plan. So pretty much like we do an hour session every week and we're also texting throughout the week. So I build a really fucking close relationship with the people that I work with, right? I mean, they're talking about everything like, he sent me this, he texted me this, so-and-so. For a couple of the women I'm working with, right, we're working on trying to uphold their boundaries with guys that they're trying to detach from. Honestly, I would say that's the majority of the people that I work with is like people working through that. And it's funny because I have like a couple of the women that I work with that constantly try, like their version of trying to get over that person is almost like putting that person down. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, he's trash. Like, why would he fucking not text me? He must be a piece of shit. And I'm like, is that how we're really going to get past somebody? Is this, that's it. The person that you would, first off, if he hit you up and said, let's fuck, you would go over his house immediately. That's the guy that you're going to call a piece of shit. So you're fucking a piece of shit, aren't you? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we saying that? We don't even need to bring that energy. My whole point is if you really loved and respected yourself and you had those good boundaries, you wouldn't even blame the guy. If he wanted to go do his own thing and he's not ready for a relationship, you'll move on. Because guess what? It is what it is. Now, listen, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, it should be a snap of a finger and you should be cool with it. No, it's fucking painful. It is painful as fuck. When someone fucking doesn't show up for you, that shit hurts, especially when they were kind of showing up for you for a good amount of time, right? It's hard. But honestly, to me, when you sit here and then you blame the other side, I'm like, half the time, just to keep it a million out here, you're getting upset at them for doing these things, but to be honest, you don't even have the appropriate boundaries in place in order to receive a person. You know what I'm saying? You're blaming men because you're saying, oh, they just don't want commitment. I'm going to be honest with you. They just don't want commitment with a girl that has poor boundaries. To keep it a million. Yeah, I'm going to keep it real. And don't get me wrong. There's a lot of men out here. Think about this. 70% of the world has low self-worth. That's the way I see it. Almost 80%. So you got to think about it. For the majority, man and woman, right? You get what I'm saying? Most people are not highly self-confident people. Let's keep it a million, right? Think about this. I fucking read this the other day. It was funny as fuck. And they said, if the world reset, right? There was a giant reset of money and everybody got the same amount of money. You know, the world would go right back to the way it is right now. It would go back to some people being millionaires and some people and a lot of people being poor. To keep it real, all the wealth would still be to a smaller percentage of the world. And that's what I'm trying to say. It's not the wealth distribution that is the problem. It's just the fact that the majority of people in the world generally are low self-confident. They do not have the self-confidence for themselves. They don't have the self-belief. That is the human condition. It's what we call original sin. It's the reason that the Buddha said life is suffering, right? What is enlightenment? Enlightenment is you overcoming that, right? Is overcoming that mental hurdle, right? Life is all about mindset. The outer factors of your life are completely controlled by the inner thoughts and feelings that you have about yourself. If you highly love yourself, if you highly respect yourself, the relationships that you have will show that. The income that you have will show that. Everything in your life will show that, point blank, just to keep it real. Like I said, you reset the world to everybody gets the same amount of money today. Boom. Everybody's equally as rich, right? Everybody's got $100. You give it another 200 years, all that wealth distribution will go right back to the way it is right now. You guys think I'm lying? You give a poor man $1 million, he'll blow that shit immediately because he has a poor mindset. But you give a rich man $100, he could turn that into $1 million. And there's a huge difference. And so here's what I'm trying to explain about this whole thing that I'm going off on right now is, just this, message of just like telling women that, oh, babe, you're good. You're fucking amazing. You're a fucking 10. You're all this. You're all that. You're enough, babe. Like, he's a fucking dick, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, sweetheart, you got to work on your fucking boundaries. You have poor self-confidence. You want me to keep it real? No, you're not a 10. Actually, you're not. You're not. Also, first off, what's the likelihood we're all 10s? That's not real. I'm not a 10. I don't think you're a 10. Maybe you are. Some people are a 10 in my eyes. Honestly, there's some really attractive people. But do you get what I'm saying? It's not about that. And that's what I'm saying. All that BS that just you see and it's just like false hype. All it does is reinforce the subconscious belief because what happens? You watch that shit. You're like, babe, you're a 10, blah, blah, blah. You feel good for a half a second. And then the real world comes back in. Homie still isn't texting you and you still feel like you're not enough. It didn't solve shit. You put a Band-Aid on a totaled car. That's what I tell people all the time when I'm coaching with them. I'm like, yo, sometimes when you're trying to fix like one little text message or like you're responding back to this guy, you're like, all right, how do I respond? Like, how do I get him to care? I'm like, first off, you want to get him to care, fucking work on your self-worth. You got to clean the car. You got to fix the car from the inside out. I mean, you got a whole totaled vehicle right here. And what you think is if I put some shiny rims on this thing, I'm going to get some dudes. I'm like, that's not how it works. But again, listen, I'm just going to keep it a million out here. Let's be honest. Most people aren't going to show up for themselves. Most people are going to continue to show up in shitty relationships, are not going to work on their boundaries. But honestly, to no fault of them in some way. Sometimes I truly believe that motivation, self-confidence, maybe this is going to sound fucked up, but I think some people have it and I think some people don't. And honestly, I feel really bad for the people that are born that way. Because there are people that, to me, seriously, I have worked with people that I know for a fact I can give you all the tools, all the steps, tell you how to get uncomfortable, tell you how to move past these things, but they just literally will not take the steps to get better. They just won't. I mean, think about the alcoholic, right? You can't save that guy. You can't. Or that girl, whoever it is. It's really hard to do that. You can only save somebody when they are willing to save themselves. But when I just see that BS being spewed out online, just like telling everybody what they want to hear, instead of telling people what they need to hear, it bugs me. But people don't want to hear that shit. People don't want to hear that it's them. They want to hear that it's the outside circumstances that are fucking them over. It's not in any way. That's what's crazy. You know, sometimes there's a question that I ask some of the people that I work with. One of the first things that we tackle is limiting beliefs. I'm not going to get into the whole exercise, but one of the questions is, why are you single? Why has it been so hard for you to find love? Right? And it gets people to self-reflect, and it's nice because people that I work with usually are in that mode of their life where they're trying to make change. So it's really nice because they're being really real with me. But you know what I'm saying? It's like sometimes people like will turn around and be like, oh, I think my standards are too high. You know, oh, I feel like I'm just like too picky. And here's the thing. And I had a really hard conversation with one of my clients today about this. You know, and something that she always chases, or she feels like she chases, is physical attraction. And what she said was just like, I feel like my standards are too high. Maybe I got to bring them down. I was like, either your standards are too high or you're just not living up to the request. You want me to keep it $1 million? If that's what you're thinking in your head, oh, my standards are just too high. Let's look at what you're putting up versus what you're really wanting. And that's what's funny, because that's the thing. One of her biggest values was physical attraction. And obviously we talked about this. She understands, you know, she does appreciate more than just that, right? She does. But I was like, here's the thing. As a woman, right? She shows up. She's like, obviously it's a big deal, physical attraction. What happens is she goes on these dates with these guys, and if she doesn't have that physical attraction spark with them, she kind of just, you know, puts up a wall and is just like, it is what it is. She doesn't try. She doesn't continue. She doesn't ask to go on future dates. She doesn't really put in any effort. She only puts in effort with the guys that she finds super attractive. And I said to her, and I said, turned around and I said, okay, so if that's the way you're dating, let me ask you this question. Let's say you're dating a guy that his number one value is physical attraction. And mind you, this girl is, woman, is 34. And one of her fears is, and something we're going to talk about today, is the fear of getting your time wasted. And a lot of women feel this way, right? Especially in your 30s, because I work with a lot of women in their 30s, and you know, they hit that number and it's almost like panic mode. We're going to get into that in a second. But I was like, imagine the guy you went on a date with, his number one value was physical attraction. I said, is he picking you? I was like, if your number one value is physical attraction, and then a guy's number one value is physical attraction, is he picking you? Be honest. Well, I think I'm attractive. You know, I think so. And I'm like, listen, that's fair. I'm not saying you're ugly. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm trying to say. It's like, yo, I'm not sitting here telling you that can't be true. I'm not saying that physical attraction is important. Absolutely. I'm not, just to keep it $1 million. I'm not dating somebody that I don't think is physically attractive. Let's keep it $1 million out here. 1,000. I wouldn't touch it. But with that being said, if that's one of the biggest things that you look for and you don't really have any leeway with that, the guy that's doing that too is definitely going to fuck you over, right? Is he not? Because if that's his number one value, isn't he going to go fuck with a 25-year-old, 26-year-old, 27-year-old? If that's the only thing, if that's one of the biggest things that matters to you, again, my whole point is you really got to think about what it is that you're chasing, what it is that's driving you. And on the other side, if that was true, would that bother you, or would that be good for you? Because if that's what's driving, you know, that person, and again, I'm not saying that's her full values. It really is not. It's not, right? But what I'm trying to tell her is, maybe we got to ease up on that. Maybe what we got to look for is more a guy that is more masculine or takes the lead. And I think that's really what she was looking for more than anything else, you know, besides the quote unquote physical attraction. But do you get what I'm saying about this in terms of just like, how would I say it? Like people having this view of themselves of like, well, I'm doing everything right and I'm just showing up and I'm throwing myself at these people, right? This is a separate conversation, right? Like, let's say you show up to a relationship and you're just like, well, I give, and I just love so hard and they're just fucked up because they take advantage. No, that's not true. You're just, first off, more than likely you're a people pleaser, and that's the biggest turnoff in dating. No one wants to date you. Surprise. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. But you wouldn't like it either. If you're a girl, right? And some guy was some fucking pushover and he was just always like, all right, what do you want to do, babe? Yeah, sure. Where do you want to go? Good morning, love. How are you, baby? If he started acting like that, you'd be like, what the fuck is this shit? So don't sit here and tell me, oh, well, I gave him everything. Yeah, you gave him everything that you would have wanted, not what he needed. And you weren't very honest about yourself and the things that you want, more than likely. Here's the thing. We don't have control over what people are giving us. All we have control over is how we are showing up and what we are doing. That's my entire point to you. So here's what I'm saying. In dating, this is all you can control. Showing up authentic, showing good, genuine energy, and being honest and true to yourself. That is it. That is it. You can't control anything else. How that person shows up, if they're consistent, if they want a relationship, who they are, you can't control. You can't control whether or not they want to give you that relationship. But I'll tell you right now, the best way to get into a relationship is to believe that you deserve it, to hold your fucking boundaries, to be really honest with people, and be truly authentic to who you are and what you want. If you could do those things, you will be attracted because people are like, whoa, she's self-assured. She's got boundaries, or whoever you are, guy, girl, doesn't matter. But that's the thing is most people don't stick to those things. We start to change ourselves. We try to manipulate the situation because we want the result. You can't focus on the result. You got to focus on the process. You're going to encounter duds. You're going to encounter bums. You're going to encounter people that are not honest. But you got to have the fucking self-worth, just the confidence that if somebody is not showing up for you in the proper way, you hold your boundary and you move the fuck on. And you say, I'm not putting up with that because I don't deserve that. That's what's truly attractive at the end of the day. And that's being a 10, babe. All right. One thing I know I was just talking about too is something I want to touch on. And here's the thing too. I know I just got right into the podcast today. I did want to talk about the dog days of being single, but we'll get into that. I want to get into the fear of your time being wasted. So one thing I just mentioned before was how I work with a lot of women that are in their 30s or getting to their 30s. And what starts to happen is really funny. The clock starts ticking. It's like, oh shit, wait a minute. I can't fuck around anymore. I really want a relationship. I want something real. The only thing that happens here is once we start getting that fear of people wasting our time, the way that we are showing up in dating is very interesting because what happens is, so the people that I was talking about before, right? The people that have low, poor boundaries that don't get themselves out of situations. Guess what they upgrade to? All right, let me give you the timeline for most women in dating. It goes like this. In your early 20s, you pretty much are really naive. You're fucking around. Maybe you're not really looking for a relationship and you're just enjoying life. During this time, you usually meet a guy that absolutely dicks you around, very narcissistic man, takes advantage. You're naive. You do the whole thing. You act like his wife because you think that's what you want. You have no idea what a wife really is. You have no idea what you really even want. So you go along with this guy. He's bullying you around. He's narcissistic. He's taking advantage. Eventually you get out of that relationship, although you still love him. Then you upgrade to like 25, 26, 27, still same vibe. Now you're a little bit stronger. You're a little bit better with your boundaries, but you're not fully there yet. You still encounter these men that are wasting your time, but you're a little bit quicker about getting rid of them. And then you start getting into your 30s. That's when the women, right, that fear then changes, right? Initially, your fear is of getting hurt. Your fear is of being rejected, of, whatever, right? And then what happens is enough guys take advantage during your 20s where you then develop the fear in your 30s of the other way around, which is now I don't want to waste my time. My fear is if I give a guy too much time that I don't really like, I'm wasting my time because in your 20s, all you did was give guys your time that has wasted your time. You get what I'm saying? So what happens is the inverse, right? You flip-flop to the other way. So here's the thing about dating though. There still needs to be that time where you get to know somebody. And what happens is for my women that are in their 30s or my people that are in their 30s, what it is you start to bring a sense of impatience, but it's still rooted in fear. It's still rooted in, like, for instance, you meet a guy and again, maybe that chemistry is not there, that fieriness is not there. And you're just so quick to just say, fuck it, I'm out, I'm done. Because what it is you are so sick of getting taken advantage of. Every single time you see any little thing, you are so quick to cut off, or you have incredible amounts of anxiety that you're going to be wasting your time. But here's what we need to do. Here's how we combat the fear of your time being wasted. Number one, first off, you have to have the immediate affirmation of the right guy will not waste your time. The right guy will show up consistently, but he will show up consistently over time. You can't know within the first 2 months. So the problem is if you cut people off super fucking quick because you think you're going to save time, Maybe you're cutting off options that potentially might be really good for you. And because again, you become, how would I say it? Jaded in a way, where you're like, all right, I'm not going to let anybody take advantage of me or not let anybody take advantage of my time. Now, there's a balance to that, right? And this is what I try to explain to people that do have this fear of their time being wasted. Part of dating, you need to get to know people and it needs to be free. At the end of the day, dating does take some time. It does. I'm not going to say you're going to sugarcoat it. And you are going to meet guys that are not that dope. You're going to meet people that are going to give you the fucking runaround for a month. But here's what we need to do. We need to make the funnel at the top of your dating large, right? When it comes to new opportunities, I want you to be free and open. I want you to constantly be giving people chances. And even if you're on the fence about a guy, give him another date. Just give him another date. What's wrong with getting more information? You're not wasting your time to go on a second or third or a fourth date. You're not. Because as soon as you get enough information and you realize, okay, he's not it, then you get rid of him. But once you know it's fucking done, then you cut it off. But here's the other thing too. Again, a lot of the fear is, okay, if I give somebody my time, essentially I'm just very cautious about giving people that because I get too excited and then I get really let down. Because that's really what it is too, right? A lot of that is, and I was explaining is, for a lot of people, their entire life, and I would say specifically more towards the women, you experience this a lot where you meet a lot of guys that, tell you you're their everything and do the whole fucking thing. They love bomb the shit out of you and then they're done. And it's hard because then you have no confidence in terms of when to uphold your boundaries or how to uphold your boundaries. And that's like really the biggest thing is like deciphering, okay, is this partner pretty good for me to move on to the next stage or do I really need to cut them off? But this is also why you really got to know what you value. You really got to know what your non-negotiables are because you got to be able to hold those people accountable to what it is that you want. And as soon as you recognize that they don't have one of your non-negotiables, I don't care how fucking dope or hot they are, they need to cut that off. But the other thing is there's a lot of guys that you will be like, oh, well, I don't really know. He's kind of giving me this, like, we don't really know yet. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really sure what energy he has yet. Why are we cutting those guys off? Why are we not giving them good energy? Let's get more information from them. They could potentially be good partners. And I think one of the hardest things too is, women, they start to feel like you're on a timeline, right? Because again, first off, I work with a lot of people that freeze their eggs, because it's like, fuck, like what if I can't have kids? It's like, yo, listen, if you get to me, I promise you this. If we work for 6 months, you'll be okay. Because what it is you got to get your values in place. You got to get your boundaries on point. You got to have self-confidence and you got to have that self-belief and you will find what you're looking for. Up to this point, yes, maybe that hasn't happened. You probably just haven't been as strict about your boundaries as you should have been though. That's what I really find with a lot of women. It just comes down to that is like, how hard are you about your standards? How much do you believe in yourself? How much do you believe that you are worth something, that you are enough? And like I said, for a lot of people, we're talking about this at the beginning of the podcast, that number is not very high for a lot of people. You really need to put the work in to get there. For real. That doesn't happen overnight, and it's not on BS either. You can't just fake it till you make it with that. You can't. Because that's the thing is if you fake your self-confidence at the beginning, and I do find this too, where it's like you can hold those boundaries for 2 months or 3 months, but then eventually you get comfortable. Then eventually you let those things slip. You don't truly feel that way underneath. And so what you do is these guys, they tell you what you want to hear. They tell you what you want to hear. And honestly, they're probably in love with the girl that does seem self-confident. That's the key too behind it, right? It's like they fall in love with the girl that is pseudo-confident, who's still hanging out with her friends, who's still making time for herself, who's still upholding her boundaries. But then again, time goes on and you want that security and you want that relationship, which is great. And I feel like things should progress to that. I'm not denying that. But you still need to validate yourself. You still need to be able to have your own sense of self in the relationship 3 months in, 6 months in, 2 years in, 5 years in, 10 years in. You get what I'm saying? Your self-confidence is your responsibility. It is not the other person's. And I know it's very hard to feel that way when we have gone through a lot of situations where people have given us the runaround, but they have given you the runaround because you haven't truly validated yourself fully. And I guess that's what I'm really trying to tell y'all, is that's what it really comes down to. This is what it is. If you really want to find a partner, honestly, genuinely, it's all self-worth. It's all self-belief. Do you believe you deserve that? And you got to answer that for yourself. You know, you can sit here and say it optimistically. You can say, yeah, I think I'm enough. Oh, you think? Or do you know that? There's a huge difference. Because if you knew that, would you have put up with a lot of this shit that you have? Maybe not. But here's the other thing too. That doesn't mean, just because you have gone through a whole bunch of shitty relationships, just because you have wasted your time, quote unquote, wasted your time with so many different partners, first off, none of that is actually a waste of time if you use it as a learning lesson. And that's the other thing too, where I find, again, with the fear of the wasting time thing, that's you holding on to guilt that you didn't do something fast enough. The reality is it takes a long time to learn some of these lessons. It's not a waste of time to date some jackass for 5 years. It's not a waste of time to I have one girl I work with, right? 10-year marriage, treated like shit from pretty much 6 months in. And she knew it wasn't right, but she didn't have the self-confidence to get herself out of it. She thought a relationship was just something you fought for. And what did she do? She fucking fought for it with a guy that just showed he didn't fucking care. And she stayed in it for 10 years. 10! Because it was marriage. But what happened? Eventually, it wasn't ever right. She finally gets herself out of it. Me and her meet, right? She's in a situationship with the next guy after her marriage. We turn it the fuck up. We turn it the fuck up. We turn the self-confidence way up. We get the boundaries up. We start seeing our value. Honestly, the fucking ex-husband's been hitting her up all the fucking time. She's a rock star. She's kicking ass. Honestly, the dude was holding her back. Swear to God. She was emotionally drained. She had the best year of her career, literally the year that she got the divorce. She did so many great things the year that she fucking moved on from this fucking guy. But because she was stuck in it, because honestly, underneath, she did lack a lot of self-confidence for a very long time. And when you're with a guy or with somebody that is criticizing you constantly and making you feel small, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. It is hard to get yourself out of that cycle. It is hard to get yourself and move yourself past those people because they're also making you feel like shit. The stuff that he was telling her, like, you know what I'm saying? Not fucking her, not sleeping with her, calling her ugly. You could be really in a shithole because the person that you're surrounding yourself with also has low self-worth, treats you like shit and criticizes you to keep you on their level because they don't even want you to leave. But that's what I'm trying to say. Two people in that relationship, equally low self-worth, and guess what? You have one person criticizer, right? Narcissist, let's just say. I hate the fucking word, but whatever. It is real in a lot of cases. And then the other side, what's the opposite of a narcissist? Because that should have a word too. People pleaser. It's usually narcissist and people pleaser. And they hang out together. They gang up. It's two people with low self-worth. It's not just a guy has low self-worth. You have low self-worth too for putting up with it. But it's a cycle. You know what I'm saying? It's a cycle. Them criticizing you, them making you feel like shit, and then you taking the abuse, and then you trying to fix the situation, then you trying to fix the situation. Again, you guys are just reinforcing the belief in each other that you guys are not really worthy. But what happens is like, honestly, this is what I'm trying to tell you. If you really want a beautiful relationship, you really want to excel in your life, you can't surround yourself with somebody that's criticizing you, putting you down. And honestly, if you know when you're listening to this, you're like, you know, to be honest, I really put up with a lot of shit, or there's a lot of my needs that are not getting met in my relationship. You probably don't have a lot of self-confidence. Just keep it real. I'm going to tell you right now, every need that I need is going to get met in a relationship. That's without a doubt. I am going to find a super hot girl. I am going to find a girl that does the work and kicks ass and is funny and is real and is honest. I know it. I know it. It's a no. So if you don't act that way, or you are not that, you will get fucking kicked out. Non-negotiable. And you should be feeling the same way. That's what I'm trying to say. If you believe in yourself, if you love yourself, that is the energy you have. And think about this. I'm sure some of your guys' pussies are wet just hearing me fucking talk like this. You get what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to be a fucking dick, But that's what it is, right? Having that self-assurance, having that self-confidence that you can get and you will get whatever you want. That's what people want to be around. That's how you maintain a relationship. And again, not some self-absorbed shit, right? I still have to show up genuine. I still have to show up and support my partner when they're feeling down, right? I'm not sitting here saying I'm perfect. There are going to be times where I don't feel A1. You guys, if you go back and listen to some podcasts, go back to December when I was feeling like shit. I was feeling like ass. I wasn't talking like this. I knew it in the back of my mind that I'd be okay. And that's the key to self-confidence is when you're feeling low as shit, it's how you feel when you're feeling low. Can you still turn around and tell yourself, yo, I'm getting my ass kicked, or yo, I don't have the money I need, or yo, this relationship is kicking my fucking ass. But guess what? I know it's gonna be all right. I know I'm gonna find something great. I know that if I keep hustling, I keep working through my bullshit, eventually I'm gonna get to the other side. And if you have that belief, you're at least good. You're at least, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna make it. But if you can't even think to yourself, oh shit, I don't think it's going to be all right. Or, this always happens to me. God damn it. I always get fucked over. I'm never going to be the fucking one. I'm never going to find a guy. I'm never going to find that relationship. I'm not even enough. You're fucked. Yeah, honest. I'm not trying to be a dick, but you get what I'm saying? Like that attitude is taking you right to fucking poverty. I'm so serious. Poverty in your income, poverty in your relationships. Whew. You know, really all it is what we're trying to do here in general is take a really hard reflective look at ourselves, right? Look at the things that we want. Do we deserve those things? Ask ourselves, if we don't feel that we deserve those things, how can we make ourselves better? Can we go take care of our bodies more? Can we start feeling more comfortable in our skin? How do we work through some of those insecurities? Let's say I don't feel like enough, right? What do I do? You got to work in on yourself. Honest. And what does that mean? Probably therapy, probably a coach, probably something to get your fucking head out of your ass. Start working on yourself. Start eating healthier foods. There's options. Cut out the drugs. Cut out the alcohol. These are little steps. 8 hours of sleep. Drink some fucking water, you dehydrated fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, read a damn book. There are ways that you can make your life better. And that's all I'm trying to tell you is, and so let's go back to my story about 30-year-old. You know, again, you want to stop this fear of wasting your time. First off, believe that you will find it when it's meant to be, but also have the patience to understand that it's going to take some time to vet through some people. Right? You got to have that confidence that you are going to find that. Because here's the thing. If you live with that fear of your time getting wasted, what happens? Inadvertently, what you'll start to do is try to speed people up. Oh, I don't want to get my time wasted. I'm afraid of getting hurt, right? All of these things, they're all connected. What do you start doing? You start pushing that insecurity and fear onto your partners. Hey, are we exclusive? It's been 2 weeks, but like, are you fucking anybody else? You're scared. You're scared. You're not showing up confident. You're spooked. You know what I'm saying? All these fears. I want you to lead with confidence. All right, it's going to work out. Okay. I know it's going to work out. If this person likes me, they're going to keep showing up. I'm just going to keep showing up confident. I'm just going to keep showing up honest. I'm just going to say exactly how I feel, and I'm going to speak my mind. And if I feel like something's off, I'm going to communicate it, because I believe if the person is meant for me, that, yeah, they'll be around. And guess what? I'm confident enough to know that even if this situation doesn't work out, I will meet somebody and I will be okay. That is the secret fucking sauce right there. If you have the belief that everything will be okay with or without that person, that is how you get in a relationship. Point blank. That's it. But a lot of us, think about that. When we meet somebody, our entire worthiness goes on them. And it's hard because we do care about people. I'm not sitting here saying it's impossible. Remember I had that fucking podcast talking about how like I told this girl that my emotional well-being is reliant on her. Yo, when you care about somebody, your value, your worthiness, your identity, it does start to mesh a little bit. I'm not sitting here telling you to be a robot like you don't give a fuck. That's not what it is. My whole point is you have to have that underlying behind the relationship, There still needs to be the relationship with yourself. You get what I'm saying? It's that person, the relationship that you have in the middle, and then yourself. On the side of you, you still need to have the self-belief that if this relationship is not meeting your needs or is not working out, that you have the self-belief and the self-love that you will communicate it or exit that relationship if necessary. But ideally, what you try to do is work on the relationship, communicate your needs, try to make sure that you can uphold those boundaries, say, hey, this is what I need from you. Hey, you haven't texted me in a week. What the fuck happened? Where is that? Why are you doing that? I don't like that. If that's the way you're going to communicate, I don't want to be in this relationship, but I'm going to give you the chance to understand that I don't like that. You're not just going to exit and run away, because that's the other strategy, right? The other aspect is if you have low self-worth and you have a relationship that gets hard, what is your instinct? Your instinct is, all right, it got hard, I'm going to run. Think about that. So think about it this way, right? For men, when they have low self-worth, what do? Instead of dealing with the problems and dealing with the things in the relationship, they dip, they run. Or the avoidance, right? Our avoidance. That is going to be our way of showing our lack of self-belief. I'm going to get out of this relationship, or I'm going to keep this relationship at a distance because I am so fucking scared to actually be vulnerable with you because truly I don't believe like I am enough. Now, anxious people, they also don't believe that they're enough either. But here's the difference. Anxious people is like, I'm not enough. So whatever you're giving me, I want it. And any type of validation that you have, I'll take it. And even at the detriment of myself, I am so scared to get abandoned that I will do anything to cling on and keep you there. Hence the anxious avoidant trap, right? Again, the not feeling of enough of a man or whoever that is avoidant and is running away, and the not feeling enough and scare of being abandoned, the fucking anxious, and that's what you guys do. You fucking do back and forth. But that's what I'm trying to tell you. So it's like, if we're to get ourselves out of that situation, someone's going to have to elevate their self-worth, and it's going to have to elevate without the other person. So essentially, I help a lot of anxious. I will say I get some avoidance, but avoidance, they have a high perception of self. So they don't even think anything's a fucking problem because all they do is run away and they think they're the shit. That's the problem with avoidance. So I get a lot of anxious because anxious are like, yo, I'm fucking attached to these people. I don't know what to do. I'm like, all right, let's increase the self-worth. Boop, go up, right? Self-worth goes up. What do? We stop chasing. We stop chasing it, right? Because we're working on that fear of abandonment. We're showing up confident. We're saying, no. I love myself, right? So I don't deserve, or I'm not going to put up with somebody who's not showing up for me. And I'm not going to worry about you abandoning me because I understand that if you abandon me and I chase you, I'm abandoning myself. So that's what I'm trying to say. But again, we talked about this. Majority of the world, 70% is operating at this level. They don't have the self-belief to be in a very secure, great relationship. All right. I also wanted to talk a little bit about how to handle waiting on somebody's communication. So another thing that happened this week is I've been coaching this one girl. Again, this is, here we go. Very anxious, right? And again, here's the thing. She's in her late 30s. She's struggled with, finding a relationship her whole life. So what happens, right? Right here, we're writing the whole story, right? It's happening right in front of us. So if you have a girl, you guys put the pieces together for me. If you have a woman that has struggled to get into a relationship majority of her life, the clock is starting to tick, quote unquote, because again, women have that other fear of like, they're just going to die when they hit 40 or, they're not going to have kids. I get that. So again, we have this clock now happening. Tick, 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 tick. But then we also have, okay, no guy has actually really showed up for me in the right way. Holy shit. What is going to happen to this woman? How do you think she's going to show up in a relationship when she finds a guy that actually shows some interest? Holy shit, I'm going to cling on to this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Let's go at 1,000,000 miles per hour, especially when the guy love bombs, right? And he's like, you're my fucking wife. What is that girl going to do? Oh, you're calling me my wife? Oh, shit. All right. Yeah, let's do it. Let's get married today. She's like, fuck it. I need boundaries right now because I'm fucking scared shitless. Because I haven't maintained a relationship my whole life, and I'm really struggling because I'm battling the clock. You see what I'm saying? But the problem is this. We get into that relationship. Let's say this guy that she meets is a love bomber, which is most dudes that, again, might really excite you. Again, think about this. Fear of getting our time wasted. Who do we only let in? We let in only the guys that are going 100 million miles per hour because we quote unquote don't want to get our time wasted. But in reality, relationships take time to build. So if you're only letting in the love bomber, and then what happens is you're gung-ho for that shit because you want security so fucking bad. The only problem is you get into the relationship, he love bombs, he realizes, holy shit, this girl, she wants a motherfucking relationship. Like this girl, honestly, he probably feels the insecurity. It's probably dripping on you. You know what I'm saying? You're like, holy shit, this girl's got a stopwatch on. And what happens is we get so excited, and then what happens? Boundaries out the window, right? If that guy is like, all right, yo, I don't want to text or I don't want to hang out. Okay, then let's hang out, 3 weeks from now. I'm cool with that. Why are we cool with that? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're only cool with that because he showed you this energy and then you think that you need to cling on and people please to get him to stay. Because you badly need him to stay that fucking bad because that person showing you that energy, and I get it, right? We want a husband. We want somebody to do life with. I'm not sitting here saying that that's wrong. But my whole point is, you cannot cheat the system. And the system says you reap what you sow. And what that means is if you're going to harvest a plant, guess what? You got to plant the seed. You got to wait for it to grow. If you're going to build a very, very beautiful house, you need to build a very, very, very strong foundation. And guess what? It just takes time. It just takes time. So you in a rush to get the fucking house done because you're like, I need a house. I need security right now. And what you're going to do is the house starts starting to get built. And then the guy's like, oh, fuck, it's rickety. You know what I'm saying? It's like, holy shit. She is really trying to make shit happen, fast. And that's when it gets too real. And then that's when a lot of guys dip out because they're like, holy shit, this is too smothering. This is too much. I was telling you I could do all of these things at the beginning, but to be honest, it got real. And I was like, holy fuck, way too much for me. So what do we need to do? Again, that guy might not be a bad guy to build an actual house with. Maybe he does really like you, but we need to bring balance, right? We need to bring balance. I want you to lead with confidence. All right, cool. If this guy's meant to be, guess what? You know what? I do got a little bit of a clock, right? I do really want a relationship fast. I haven't really gotten great results before, but I have to believe that the right guy will be there for me at the end, even if I haven't seen that result in the past. And I have to take my time with that person, and I have to be able to let him have his space when needed. I can't force this to happen. I have to try my best to slow myself down and him if I'm going to make this work, right? So speaking of which, these people were hanging out, they go hot and heavy, fucking texting, calling all the time. And then you guys know how it is, right? What happens? 2 months in, like clockwork, homie's like, I really don't know if I can hang out this much. You know what I'm saying? Like, whoa, holy shit. This is getting fucking real. And I can smell the insecurity on your ass. So what do we need to do? There's times, right, where you might need to be comfortable with a little bit more space. And so that's kind of what happened is this last week, one of the people I'm working with, she, they hung out really good 3 days. She leaves his house. She comes back. They have a quick little text conversation. They don't talk for 3 days. This girl's losing her shit. She's losing her shit. And again, it's right. What is it? I'm like, have you guys ever gone this long? Honestly, no, we haven't really gone this long without talking in a long time. And this would spook anybody. Honest, really. But here's one thing you got to understand, right? And especially early on in dating, right? Is the hard part is when the pace is going so fast, you don't recognize that is not real life. That is not how a relationship actually is going to be. It's not always going to be hot and heavy all the fucking time. And especially if it was super hot at the beginning, it's going to simmer down a little bit. It's going to cool off a little bit. And honestly, I'm just a big believer that you are going to encounter moments with men where, have you ever heard the analogy that men are like rubber bands? if you ever read the book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, first off, one of my favorite books on relationships. Go pick it up ASAP if you want to understand how to treat men in a lot of ways. That book really helps me a lot. But one of the things that he talks about is like men are like rubber bands. There are just times where a man is going to gradually drift away in the relationship. And again, sometimes it's not in like a fuck you kind of way. It's in like oh, I just need a little bit of me time kind of way. You always hear this, right? It's like the woman wanting attention and the man wanting space. This is fucking ABCs of relationships. Let's be honest. But to my point is, the women that could successfully handle that space without getting frustrated or flustered, those are the women that are going to be more successful, in my opinion, right? So with that being said, you know, they drift away this week. They don't really talk. And she's dealing a lot with this anxiety of like, yo, when the fuck are we going to talk? Am I supposed to be the one that reaches out and makes the communication? Now, here's the thing. If you're the type of person that your natural tendency, if your pattern is you are more anxious, you are the type that's a little bit more like, ooh, I'm a little afraid of getting hurt. I always get fucked over, or I'm always scared of security. More than likely, the energy that you are emitting in the relationship is, I want security. I want presence. I want a lot of attention. So I will always err. I think it's error, like I don't know how to pronounce that word. Like err on the side of, what is that? Is that ER? Anyways, if I will err on the side, like if I'm helping you and I'm coaching you, what I will say is, okay, I think you actually should be patient in this situation. Serious. Because a lot of the times what we want to do as an anxious attacher is when that person drifts away, our immediate anxiety goes buck wild. It's like, where'd they go? Do they like me anymore? Do they fucking care about me anymore? Are they breaking up with me? What the fuck is going on? But that's the thing you got to understand. It's like sometimes they do just need that space. They will drift back to you. A man will come back. Maybe that space is needed right now. And maybe this is almost in a weird way a test to kind of just see if he can go and do his own thing and it could be comfortable. And again, I'm not saying this is right. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, this is the absolute best thing. You know, I really like that in a relationship, you do have some sort of consistent communication, but in every relationship, there's inflection points. And what I mean by that is in every relationship, I truly believe there are times in the relationship where there is naturally going to be like this moment where you guys need a little bit of space from each other. And again, it just comes out of nowhere. In my opinion, I'm serious about this. There are just times in a relationship where you're hot and heavy, you're hot and heavy, you're hot and heavy. And there just needs to be a little bit of a moment where like both parties are just a little bit like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like we're going fast. Maybe we need to take it slower. Or again, maybe he is feeling that pressure from your anxiety over wanting that security, over wanting to move things faster so quick. So his immediate reaction is what? Drift away. I need a little bit of space. That's a little bit, ooh, it's a lot. So again, if you're the anxious attacher, I'm going to say, okay, you know what? Give it some space. And here's the thing. If you're getting so anxious about where they're at or what's going on, that is a signal to me, honest, that we do need to have some work. And here's the thing. It's natural and human to feel this way. I don't want you to think that, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this way. Wrong. It's okay to feel uncomfortable, but how you manage that, how you self-regulate your emotions in those moments is very telling. If you're the type of person that fear is so strong that you have to text them because you're like, oh, I don't know what's going on. I need to know now. To me, we don't have enough self-belief and self-confidence that it's going to be okay. That when they are ready to reach back out and talk to me, they will. And this is very important because, listen, I'm not talking about 6 months, a year into the relationship. Maybe that's still going on. My whole point is at the beginning of dating, when you don't have actual boundaries, you're not boyfriend and girlfriend. It is a very strange time. It is the wild, wild west. And the person that could stay most calm, the person that has really good worthiness is not letting those little moments tackle them and make them so fearful and have to say things and be anxious and cling on. Those are the people to me that are going to be most successful. And that's what I'm trying to tell you is if you're feeling that way, that fear is so intense. You know, to me, it's a signal that we have to do more work on validating ourselves. you should be focusing on the things that you're doing in your world. And sometimes, again, like I said, a human feeling to feel like, it's fucking hard, right? I haven't heard from them in 2 days. Like, what the fuck? But sometimes that space is necessary, and you're going to get your answer eventually. And if you really don't like the amount of space, let's say it ends up being like 5 days, and then they reach back out to you. And let's say you guys have been talking for like 2-3 months, which to me is a good amount of time. You need to turn around when they reach out to you. Like, let's just say they act like it's normal. Say, hey, listen, like, I haven't heard from you. I don't understand. I just to be quite real with you, I thought we were making some progress, but having that amount of space, it just feels to me like we're not as connected right now. Be fucking real. So, but that's the thing is like, do you have the strength and the fortitude to get into your own life and appreciate your own self? Here's the craziest part is even when you're in a fucking committed relationship, you still need to maintain your own self-confidence. And that's what I'm saying. A lot of people are in relationships where they're completely not self-confident. They're completely relying on that person's validation. And this is why a lot of people get stuck pleasing and in shitty relationships. Because to be honest, yeah, they're in a relationship, but at the end of the day, that relationship is shit. Or they're being treated like shit. They don't even feel good. Because they still think that, but if I have someone, that means I'm good or I'm safe. You could ask these people individually. Sometimes you could see it. They're not really feeling that good. Like I said, the key to all of this is having a strong sense of self, being comfortable and being able to live a happy life that isn't just so concerned with the person that you're dating. Okay. And one last thing I wanted to talk about really quick. I did a reverse podcast this week. I got right into the fucking advice. I got right into the fucking sauce. And now I just want to end with a little bit of personal stuff. What do you think about that? A little switch up for you. Anyways, one thing I wanted to talk about is just kind of like, speaking of going on dates and doing shit, I have not done shit. Your boy's been hustling. I just bought a new car. I'm feeling fucking good, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, it's been dry as a fucking Sahara out here. Like, I haven't talked to no one. Like, it's weird. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when I stopped talking to a long distance situation, like, yeah, we had like this little fallout. Honestly, what's really fucking strange about that too is, the boundaries have been great. I haven't like really reached out to her at all. We've talked here and there, but nothing major. You know what I'm saying? It's been pretty much no contact for like the last like month and a half almost. And it's kind of wild because like, I'm really doing this shit, raw dogging it, single as fuck. But like, those days start to stack up. Eventually you hit a point when you're single for so long that you're just like, and when I'm talking about single, I'm talking about single. I'm talking about like, I got no hoes in my phone. Like, I'm not joking you. I haven't even been close to sex. I haven't even been close to honestly, I haven't even found a girl that I would even want to take on a date. And maybe I've just gotten kind of unlucky because honestly, I've had like little moments where like, I was talking about in the flirting podcast where like, I had like people that I thought was attractive and then I would talk to them and then it just wouldn't really work out. But it's kind of crazy because you kind of get into this mode where you get really comfortable doing that. But honestly, one thing I wanted to talk about is just kind of how like, it's, sometimes it's weird, like having, knowing what you want, knowing what you're worth, how we're talking about all this shit right now. Sometimes it's interesting because when you're so on point about those things, sometimes it can get pretty fucking lonely. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like sometimes it's weird because I've really been on my shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been good with my boundaries. I haven't been fucking around with people. No casual sex. Like haven't really been like, it's not like I'm fucking sitting here on the apps or anything like that. I'm just living my life, doing my thing. And like, it's weird because I feel really good and every day has been so great. But when you don't have a connection in your life, it does get lonely. You know what I'm saying? Like it does get fucking hard sometimes. And I don't really know. There's no perfect way, to me, this is just the truth about life. Like, I'll be honest, like, would I rather be lonely than be with somebody that I don't really love? Yeah, for a fact. I personally truly believe that. But it is really nice when you do have somebody that you could come home to. It is really nice when you do have that connection. It is really nice when you can love somebody, bro. Like, what an awesome feeling to just like be in service or care about somebody other than yourself. Cause honestly, that's what I'm trying to say is like, as much as I am really happy and like I'm accomplishing a lot, that's what I'm trying to say. That is not the end all be all of life, right? Like you really look at it and you're just like, what is the end all be all of life? Like you want connection. We want people in our lives. And sometimes that gets really fucking hard when you don't have somebody, you know? And you could put all the work in yourself. And that's what I'm saying. I feel like I'm living proof of this where my boundaries are great. I feel like my self-worth is great. My self-confidence is through the roof. I feel like I know what I'm looking for. I got all my shit together. You know, financially, I'm stable. I have a really nice place. I got really nice things. And I think for a lot of people, right, a lot of people are in that place too, where they got a lot of shit figured out. I do work with a lot of people where that's their situation, where they're like, yo, I got most of my life figured out. It's just, I don't have a connection. And it's hard. Like I said, like at the end of the day, you can't force it though. That's what's funny. And like, I guess that's the whole theme of this podcast in general is you can't force things to happen. And guess what? You're just going to have to sit sometimes with that uncomfortable feeling, right? When you are alone, when you are single, you're just going to have to deal sometimes with the uncertainty of not knowing when that person is going to show up in your life. And it's a very hard feeling to manage. I'm with you. I'm there. I go to sleep every night. I'm fucking cuddling my boyfriend pillow. That sounds gay. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm chilling in my bed. I wake up some days and I'm like, damn, I got no one to answer to. I go on my phone. I scroll online. I'm like, sometimes like those days could feel pretty empty. And honestly, I think those days have also made me, and I think for a lot of people, when you're single and you don't have somebody else, it does make you miss that previous person. There's definitely been parts of me that have been like, damn, like, you know, I always wish that like New York girl was over here. And it's the strangest thing because the times that she has reached out to me, she's contacted me a few times. It's fucking hard because I don't even know how to manage those feelings. I don't even know how to talk to her. Cause part of me is like, oh man, this feels good. You know, like when I talk to like, you know, again, if you talk to your ex, like, yo, sometimes it just feels really nice. And you're just like, damn, I kind of miss that connection. I kind of miss that vibe. I kind of miss that energy. And it really makes you think and it really makes you question. And honestly, that's what I told her when we were talking. I was like, listen, like, you know, I like talking to you and I do miss you, but it is really hard to talk to you because it just makes me feel like, damn, like really introspective on like missing connection in my life. And I think that's the hardest part about connecting with somebody from your past or having that connection with somebody that you know maybe isn't the right situation. I think the hard part is like when you talk to them, it feels good, but then after you're done talking to them or when you recognize that they're not in your life or that you can't have them, it just makes you feel even worse. So it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't sometimes when you're single, you know? You can talk to an ex and yeah, that like, you know, doesn't feel good for the reasons I just said. But then also it's like, if you don't say anything and you don't talk to anybody and you don't have any connection, right? You have zero love in your life. That could also not feel good too. That's what I'm saying too about like boundaries and things like that too. It's like, yo, I don't want you to think that you have to be this hardened person where you know, you can't have those little moments of being human. You know, we're all fucking human, right? Like sometimes your ex reaches out to you or sometimes you feel like reaching out to them, especially when you're single. And I don't want you to feel like guilty for that. You could still be a highly self-confident person and still have those little moments of being a human being where you could feel alone. I feel alone all the time. And you could still have those moments where you're like, damn, I miss that girl or I miss that person. And that's part of just being a human being. It's part of caring about people. But if you truly want to get what you want to get to where you got to go, you still got to stay focused on your goal through those feelings. And I think that's the premise of this podcast in general is through your fears, through your anxious thoughts, through the uncomfortable feelings, there's a path that you know that you should take. You know that there's a path in front of you that will feel the best. And sometimes on that path, again, you're going to encounter pitfalls and roadblocks and things that might try to knock you off of it. but it's the people that could stay on that path no matter how uncomfortable it really is. Those are the people that are truly successful. And that's how you find really happiness, is building that resilience, right? Building that resilience around those uncomfortable moments and those uncomfortable feelings when you're feeling lonely, when your ex hits you up, when you hit them up and you fucking relapse and you go back. You still got to stay on the path. You still got to stay on the path forward. Don't give up. Don't give up on your dream relationship. Don't give up on the things that you know are right. But at the same time, I do want to share with you that, like, just because that's the right path doesn't mean that you're always going to feel good. And I think that's the key behind life in general. That's what I'm trying to tell you here is I really truly feel like I'm on the right path in a lot of ways, but that doesn't mean I'm always happy. It doesn't mean that I'm always chipper. It doesn't mean that I'm always feeling pleasurable feelings, right? There's a lot of uncomfortable feelings on that path. There's a lot of uncomfortable moments where, like, some days I wake up and I'm like, I feel blank, where I'm like, damn, I really miss having somebody, or damn, I really miss this girl. Or you have those thoughts where you're just like, damn, like, if only this, or only that, or whatever. But then slowly, eventually, like, you learn to manage those thoughts and you keep going. And that, to me, is how you make it to where you need to go. And eventually you will even get stronger and better. The more that you could keep yourself on that path, and then you do find those things that you want, that's when life really becomes nice, easy, free, and a lot more comfortable. And in a good way, not in a comfort zone way. In like, think about this. Like, I'm sure one day me and you, we're going to be listening to a podcast together, and I'm going to start telling you about me and my girlfriend, and then eventually my wife, and then eventually my kids. And I guarantee you, like, I feel this way now. I feel very clear-headed right now. I do feel like majority of my days for the last like month and a half have been a 10, honestly. Probably I'm averaging probably 9.5 to 9.9 or 9.7 probably over the last 30 days, probably more. So again, it's like if I could stay in that range, because to me that's maintainable. It's like, it's not perfect, but it's really fucking good. And I think it's only going to get better, right? Again, I find more connection in my life. I continue to move towards my goals. And I hope you do the same. And I hope you took something from this podcast. And I think one of the biggest things, again, I just want you to take is, it's uncomfortable to grow. It's not a waste of your time. Any of these things that have happened before you, you could change your life today. You could change the way that you're moving forward today. It doesn't matter what has happened to you in the past, and stay on your path. No matter, even if you relapse, no matter the uncomfortable feelings that you encounter, and the more that you can do that, the more successful you're going to be. All right. That was my fucking all over the place manifesto. I hope you enjoyed it. I love you guys a lot. And keep kicking ass and keep taking accountability, right? Don't fucking blame or make an excuse this week. All right. And if you ever want to work with me, of course, you know where to find me. All right. I'll talk to you really soon.